All right, thank you so much, Megan A, for sending me this. There's a lot here. This is really funny. So she's on this panel. Megan speaks. Now they have 4 women. Another woman speaks for 20 seconds or so, or maybe 3 minutes. And now Megan is going to speak again. And the interviewer is asking her about equity, which again, I believe it's about us versus them and cult language, because the word was fairness, then equality, then equity. The language is constantly changing so that you know who's an insider rather than it being about the actual principle, which is fairness.
I've said this for so many years, and I hope that it starts to land, but I think we can all agree that representation matters in terms of if you're a young girl and you see yourself in a position of power or strength or leadership, you can believe that that is possible. If you look out on the screen or you look out...
All right, that doesn't sound so bad. Let's see, in
the world and you see no one that looks like you, it is incomprehensible for most people to imagine.
She sounds to me like Lily Singh, and it shows Megan is so focused on television and movies. Maybe because we see she spent all of her time watching television and movies, and she thought she was going to be a princess. Her expressions are based off what you see in TV. Like when you see she cries the way that women cry trying to look pretty in TV. So it is funny. What she's saying might apply to her. She did model herself after how an actress acts rather than how a real person acts. But overall, it's just she's speaking gobbledygook, and she's just using this as a way to gain power herself, right? Real good advice would be focus on working. Don't be involved in listening to us all day talk about TV, because that's not going to help you to build your goals.
Imagine that they can have that level of success or joy or strength, whatever it may be. And the key thing that I think needs to be focused on in terms of equity is that it's not a zero-sum game. Just because someone else has the same advantage that you do doesn't mean that you're losing anything. And it actually creates an environment that is so fair, but also inclusive, fair, where people feel as though they have a seat.
And then she just goes back to buzzwords, seat at the table, inclusive, whatever. Again, none of this is actionable. Like, you know what I would love to see? What if you had women who actually know what they're doing? Which actually, there are plenty. Most of them probably aren't going on panels like this because they're doing things. And teaching people how to actually do things. This is a little pet peeve of mine. It's like, hey, everyone, let's talk about how we should be doing more, but not actually do it. It's like, everyone, you need to listen to our talks. I don't know, actually do stuff.
As they should.
Megan, will you tell the story about when you wrote that letter to P&G? Because I don't know if everyone's heard it, but it's such a great story at a very young age, what you did.
That's so fun.
This is really interesting. How has she managed to make it the Meghan panel? Obviously, that was planned. Total narcissism. So Megan spoke, another woman spoke, this woman all the way on the right, who's very resentful. I have no idea who she is, but she was just, talking about she dislikes men and whatnot, and then it went back to Megan in 20 seconds. And now it's back to Megan. Tell us a story about you that has nothing to do with this panel. When you were 8 years old, your class of girls wrote a letter and you claimed that you did it yourself, and she also claimed that the boys were making fun of her when she was at an all-girls school. So let's see how she tells it.
I just disrupted the flow. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good.
But go ahead.
Have a conversation.
That's what I love about interviewing Katie. I think it's okay. Let's jump in here.
I was 11 years old, about 11 years old, and I had seen a commercial on TV for a dishwashing liquid, and the boys in my class at the time said, it said, "Women all over America are fighting."
She was in an all-girls school. She's lying. So this is an us versus them. She's making an enemy. So she's a total liar because she's saying, oh, it's not a zero-sum game. And then she's saying, literally making up a story to make an us versus them. And I'm not saying in reality, if you really wanted to help women, that's how it is. It's not us versus them. The reason they do this us versus them is just human psychology. It's very powerful. They're using cult techniques and tactics, bar none, constantly changing language, us versus them. You can use labels for people outside of the group to discredit them, and that's just a way to get followers, and they get power from this. And that's completely proven. I actually have a nice book on cult psychology right here, the #1 book, but that's exactly what they do. And these women say we're helping women, but really not all of them, but Meghan make a career out of getting these women to be followers of them, which is not actually helping these women in their life. And she's lying.
You see pots and pans, and the boy said, yeah, that's where women belong, in the kitchen. And at 11, I just found that infuriating, and
She's
wrote
lying.
lots of letters and put pen to paper, and they ended up changing the commercial to people all over America.
It was a class project, not just Meghan. Her father was heavily involved and helped with it. She was in an all-girls school, a private, really expensive one. Really expensive. She went to really expensive all-girls schools from middle school to high school, or at least middle school at this time. And she's just lying. And she's taking credit for things that she, just was part of the group, as she tends to do. It's unbelievable.
And it's funny to look back at it now, because that was before social media, where you had a reach that was so much greater. It was just an 11-year-old with a pen and paper, but it just, I guess, goes to show that if you know that there's something wrong.
If you, and the you is her, this makes me think so much about her sister. Meghan has claimed that she does not have a family. There's pictures of her with her sister, with her brother, with her father. And they said she cut us out because we might not have corroborated Meghan's lies, that it might come out. She pretends that she grew up totally poor and she was self-made. She was not. Her father was well off. She went to an all-girls private school. She's just an unbelievable liar. And later in this, she's going to say, like, no one's allowed to criticize anything she does, but she can criticize everybody else, essentially. It's not the word she uses, but it's a good thing for us to recognize when there are PR companies that are heavily educated in psychology, and they do this. Their job is to manipulate people, and they're trying to manipulate us. They're saying, this is the image for Meghan, and we're going to manipulate people to believe this about you for your benefit. So I think it's wonderful, important for us to use our minds and call things out. That, no, we're going to use our own minds. We're allowed to.
And you're using your voice to advocate in the direction of what is right, that can really land and resonate and make huge change for a lot of people. So your voice is not small. It just needs to be heard.
Yeah.
No question about that, Meghan. She loves her voice. Thank you so much again. The nice Meghan who sent me this. I'll see you guys soon.